Hello, welcome back to the channel. So supports are kind of in a weird spot right now where they're really good and they're, what brings your team's damage to that next level. They're also almost like too good and are kind of becoming a bit oversaturated, I feel. For a couple of reasons. One, some characters just feel way worse to play without having specific supports. I think that it's fine to have synergy. I think that adds more fun to just team building and can make characters just more enjoyable to play, and encourages people to update their teams instead of just using the same couple of characters every single time. The problem is when that synergy is the only good option. Like, I use this example a lot, but a Goliath without Sunday just feels so bad to play. And like, yeah, you can use Ting Yun, but it's just nowhere near close to how strong Sunday is. Or even in like fine on teams as well, because you're really just slowing down how fast you can get his ultimate. Like, the gap between the budget options and the 5 stars is way too big. Like, obviously the budget options are never going to be as good as like the character's best in slot, but they should still at least feel decent to play without needing like their fully optimal team, you know? I think this also just comes from how many more supports there are now. Like, almost every DPS in 3.x has gotten some kind of like dedicated support or just teammate to make them even better than they already were. Looking at casters who've gotten like 3 or 4 characters. I think that this is kind of starting to create another problem where supports are kind of just becoming way too niche. Serager being like the basic example because she only works with 2 characters, and most people aren't going to want to pull for someone like that since she's only going to work in like one of their teams, and that just doesn't really feel that worth it when you could just get someone like Tribby who provides way more value. Now this didn't start in just 3.x, this has kind of been a bit of a problem for a while. Sparkle kind of being another example. Like, if you are playing skill point teams, there's just not really much of a reason to pull for her. Or I think in one of the biggest cases for me, being Jiaoqiu, whose entire kit is just built around buffing Acheron. Like, yeah, you can use him with like ratio or maybe in dot sometimes, but let's be honest, he's mainly just meant for Acheron. Like, so it's like, if you don't have Acheron, there is literally no reason to pull for her. Like, obviously you don't need to pull for like every single character, but they should at least feel like they're kind of worth it to pull for. I think that the problem with having niche characters in a game like Starro is that they're almost just never going to feel good to pull for because they aren't really providing that much value to your account since you're only going to use them on like one team. And yeah, they might boost that team's damage up a bit, but unless you use that character a lot, someone like Tribby is just going to be a lot more universal and feel way more worth it to pull for. Like, on top of that, they just keep making supports for characters that are already good. Like, I bring this back to casters once again. This is one of the biggest reasons why people don't like Remembrance, because almost all of the characters in it are a part of the same team. I am also kind of worried about Serene, and she'll just add on top of this even more. Since, I haven't looked at the leaks since I like to wait until characters are officially revealed. But she is like the most built-up character of Euphoria, so she will probably be broken. And I am kind of worried she's just going to completely replace Remembrance MC in most teams. And it's just going to be like Fugue all over again. Now, I'm not saying that I want the new characters to be bad, because I think that is way worse than them being too strong, since it immediately just kills hype, since new characters are like the main thing that excites people about each patch. But I also think supports and Harmony in general is just becoming way too oversaturated, which I think is also kind of leading to them becoming more niche, because we already have almost any role you could want for a general support. Tribby is just kind of for overall damage. We have Robin for a bit more of like fast characters and for action advance as well. We have Sunday for more kind of hyper carry style teams, or Ron May even on some. And I think that if we got another general support, they would kind of just overlap with characters that we already have. And the main thing that the devs have been trying to do with 3.x is they've been trying to make each character feel unique. So I think that kind of just leads to characters like Serager, where they do feel unique with her, being able to copy skills, which I do think is an interesting idea. But it also kind of leads to kits just feeling kind of weird and mismatched. Where, like, why is so much of our kit focused around making her do damage? Especially when paired with Phaidon, who is her best DPS, you won't be able to get that damage anyway, because in his ultimate state, she's the only character on the field. It just feels so counterintuitive. It doesn't help that a lot of the 4-star harmonies kind of suck. Like, Ting Yun is good, but she is still just nowhere close to Sunday on energy teams. But she is definitely the best out of all the 4-star options. Hanya just feels so clunky to play compared to Sparkle, and it's just way too slow. Like, Asta is like fine, but it just doesn't really do enough compared to most Harmony characters, since all her ultimate gives is just speed, and that's it. And even then, you have Dance to Dance, which most Harmony characters can use, and it's just way more universally good. And it's even coming back this patch as well. And then you kind of have Yukong, which I think is the epitome of this. Like, she's just so hard to get value out of her, especially without her E6, which you could say about most 4 stars, but especially her. So it feels like Harmony is in this weird spot where I feel like it's just kind of gotten way too many characters. Like, we've gotten, well, like 3 Harmony characters in the span of like a not short amount of time. And I think, to be honest, I wouldn't really be upset if we just didn't get more Harmony characters for a while. But it's like, you can't just make DPSs, because then it's just gonna feel like that's all you're getting. And then a lot of people just won't really pull for characters because they already have DPSs, so they don't really feel like they need new ones, you know? I think that they could lean more into giving supports for other paths, especially, you know, Nihility. Like, we have gotten some Cypher, and they did buff Silverwolf as well. And I guess kind of High Ceilings, but I don't really know if you would really count her, because I feel like she's a bit more of a damage dealer, even if she did make Dot way better than it was before. But it has kind of gotten to the point where they basically have to create characters to give supports to, because they don't really have any more just general areas to give support. Like, Ruan Mei and Robin are mainly for, like, break and follow-up, but they are still just, like, good in general and don't need those archetypes to work. Or someone like Fugue only works with break, and that's it, and even then Fugue is kind of underpowered compared to a lot of other supports in the game. I think the main problem right now is that it feels like the game is kind of getting balanced around having the best supports, which, if you aren't spending money, is pretty hard to get unless you just get lucky. I do think a lot of the problems with characters in general do kind of just stem from the lack of jades and events in general, where I think that if we just got more jades, we could be able to, you know, get more 5 stars, and this whole, like, team building thing wouldn't be as big of a problem. Now, we have been getting some, you know, free 5 stars, like we got Ruan Mei, who definitely did help a lot. But even then, we got Archer, who mainly needs Sparkle, and then we're getting Dan, who's mainly just a sustain. So, like, that doesn't really help the support problem. Like, and the way they've been releasing characters really doesn't help with this, because they will almost always release a character that goes with the one that just came out the very next patch. Like, right after Capsurus, we got Hyacinth, or even, like, the most egregious one to me, in 3.4, we got Sunday, Tribby, and Sparkle came back, like, in a patch with Finon and the Fate characters. So I really just feel like it kind of scummy, honestly, especially since Archer really needs Sparkle to work. So I really just feel like they were kind of just getting you to spend money, which I know they always do that, but even more than normal. I think that maybe if they added some of the older supports to the 50-50 options, like Ruan Mei or Sparkle, even though I kind of doubt that would ever happen, it would help a lot, since the characters that they did add, I think Blade did make sense because he did get a buff, but Sealy still has not gotten buffed, so she really isn't that great. And Fu Xuan is mainly just a sustain, and she's also just been kind of falling off because a lot of the time she just gets one shot. I don't know, I think overall they just need to do something to make supports feel less restrictive, because there are definitely a lot of teams right now where if you don't have certain supports, you might as well just not even bother building that character, you know? But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.